You're listening to Straight Outta Stratford 203 with Zach and Julian, the best sports podcast in Connecticut. Sit back and enjoy the ride in 3, 2, 1.
Straight out of Stratford, slinging takes like Stafford, talking all the big games, have a beer right after. When it comes to the facts and the stats we provide, better know that our names will be up in the rafters.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Straight Outta Stratford podcast, episode number 30. I am your host, Zach, along with my co-host,
Julian, and we have...
How we doing, boys?
We have Mike here again this week.
Mike is back in the studio again with us this week. Obviously, had to bring him in after the NFC and AFC Championships because we got a lot of different stuff that we're going to be covering today. NBA trade deadline, some MLB signings and news, obviously some NHL trade deadline rumors, UFC 324, and then we will discuss the NFL as well, too. But we are going to start off with a little bit of MLB news, as always. 4 pretty decent news signings in the past couple of days as well.
And we also have the reveal of the cover athlete for the new video game, too.
Yes, we do. Yeah, Aaron Judge is the cover athlete for MLB The Show 2026, I believe.
I am so happy because the last time he was on the cover, the game was just ass.
Yeah, what was that, 2018?
Yeah,
I want to say?
It was 2018.
Yeah.
The show 18 was so bad, and I hope this is way better than the last one because, damn.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Well, yeah, no, he was definitely deserving of the cover athlete status.
Well,
some others as well too.
Well, I saw that the colors were orange and blue.
Immediately,
and I thought it was going to be Scooble, but I'm guessing that San Diego Studios knew or thought Scooble was going to get moved, and if they had made a cover with him in a Tigers uniform. And he gets traded.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Not a good look.
Smart, yeah. 2K18, Kyrie Irving, they roll out all these Cavalier Kyrie Irving 2K covers, and then a month later he gets traded to the Boston Celtics, so they had to roll everything back.
Yeah.
So that's definitely smart, just going with the safe pick.
It's like
with
what
Aaron
they
Judge.
did for, I think it's what they did for 20 or 19 when Bryce Harper was a free agent. Before he signed with the Phillies, they just put him in like a sweatshirt with cut off sleeves holding a baseball bat, and then once he signed with the Phillies, they put him like a Phillies uniform on the cover.
Well, yeah, at least they were smart about it, knowing that Aaron Judge isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
Nope.
I thought that it could have been a couple other players as well too, because we had seen even in prior years. I believe last year was Henderson, Ellie De La Cruz, and Paul Skeens all on the cover.
That was the first time they did that. Though.
Yeah,
it was the first time it was a multi-cover athlete.
I would have thought maybe they would have done something similar to that.
Multi-athlete cover.
Yeah, they could have done something similar to that and put like Soto, Judge, and Ohtani or Guerrero or somebody on there.
Well,
yeah.
I didn't know if they were going to go for like a full like WBC cover, because if they went for a WBC cover, they could have put one player from every like major team. Like
that'd be sick.
That would have been really cool.
They could have put like Lindor. They could have put Judge. They could have put
Ohtani.
Freddie Freeman's not playing anymore.
Yamamoto as well, potentially.
Well, no, but it was like one player from.
Yeah, one per country. Yeah, no, it
that would have made some sense. But what I'm like, Judge, the cover also looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just a bad. It's not a bad cover. It's not him in a Yankee uniform. They do have him in a Yankee uniform, but he's like running around, like rounding the bases in a WBC Team USA jersey. They have a Fresno State like Bulldogs jersey in the top right corner, which confirms that they are adding. The Fresno State is one of the many other teams they're adding to Road to the Show, which
is awesome. I love playing Road to the Show as well. That's probably one of my favorite parts. I know Diamond Dynasty's there too, but
one thing I do like, which if this is true, this is huge, is going to put Control Freaks out of business. They have. I saw that they have added a sensitivity bar for the PCI in the settings.
Wow.
Because a lot of people are complaining that it's too loose and you always slam your PCI down, and they would always order Control Freaks or, I forgot what the other one was called. It was something, but if in the game they have the sensitivity to where if you lower it, it's a lot harder to slam your PCI. I don't think anyone's going to be going for Control Freaks anymore.
And good. Well, that's a good thing. I like I said, I was always a big MLB The Show fan as well, too. Even before it made its transition over to Xbox, I know it was exclusive on PlayStation for a while. I had friends of mine that, had PlayStation, so I would try whatever I could. Like, they would be like, oh, if you want to play, play. So I love the game. So
yeah, I had a PlayStation, and then I sold it, but I had the show. And then I was looking to get another console, and I'm like, you know what? I said, the show's on Xbox, so I'll just get an Xbox. It's cheaper.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. And like I said, I have an Xbox, too. So that's why it's awesome playing that game. So it's a big honor for Aaron Judge to be back on the cover of
He's
MLB
only the
The
second
Show.
person to be on there twice, I believe.
I think he is.
Only other person is Joe Mauer.
Yeah, Joe
Because-
that's correct.
Because I think Derek Jeter was on the cover once, but it wasn't.
Yeah, no, that was before the show.
That was
may have
before
I
just-
think he was
So-
on a 2K
Yeah.
cover too. It was like MLB 2K.
I think
as
it was
well.
2K6 he was on the cover of,
Yeah.
which it just goes to show that
Yeah.
video game freak. But it is
Exactly.
what it is. But going back at least into the signings, we did see a couple of them. Not really anything
Well-
major.
No, but what I'm saying is for the Legends edition, like 2 years ago, he was the cover athlete for it.
Okay.
Oh.
And what I'm saying is that people are going to be like, oh, Derek Jeter's on the cover of 2 different baseball games. But in reality, it was 2K,
Yeah.
or not MLB.
It wasn't MLB The Show. No.
So he is Judge is one of 2 people to only be on there twice. Granted, Joe Mauer was probably way more impressive because he was on 10 and 11 or 11 and 12. It was one of those 2.
Yeah, no, I know he was on it quite a few times, and he very well deserved it.
But he was
again,
only
too.
on it twice.
Yeah, but it makes sense. So going into the signings, nothing really crazy. There weren't any big needle movers at all. Just very small stuff. But, I mean, some of them will definitely have an impact. We saw Sir Anthony Dominguez sign with the Chicago White Sox for 2 years and $20 million. Obviously, he had a very decent year last year. He finished with a 3.15 ERA, had 67 total appearances. He has a career ERA of 3.5, which is pretty good as well, too. Obviously, I don't know how great the signing is going to be for Chicago just because we don't know what Chicago White Sox team you're going to get. Is it going to be more competitive than it was? Is it going to go and be like the season we've seen in the past where they were easily one of the worst teams in the MLB? I think it could help a little bit, but it's like I said, it's not really going to be a big needle mover at all. Then you had Craig Kimbrell signing a minor league contract with the New York Mets with an MLB camp invite. I like the idea of it. The only thing is, what Craig Kimbrell are you going to get?
Yeah, it feels like the Mets are just kind of trying to do the dartboard throw with the bullpen, getting a couple of former Yankees, which we talked about last time with Devin Williams. You're trying to just hit on one of these guys, and if you can potentially hit on Kimbrell, that'd be huge for the Mets, of course.
Well, I think it's not even just the bullpen either. I've said it before. I think that he's trying the dartboard approach with a lot of the roster. I mean, you look at Luis Robert. Definitely has had his struggles in the past couple of years. Has not looked like he did in 2023, his most impressive year of his career. So it's more of, is he going to get back to that prior form? Same thing with Marcus Semien. Obviously, we saw him have MVP seasons quite a few years ago. He was in the conversation for winning the MVP. Didn't win it, but again, a lot of those guys that they got in the lineup, it's very high risk, high reward. If you get them back to their prior form or they can get to their career average, they'll be good players. But if they don't, it's going to be an issue. I mean, we saw it with Frankie Montas as well, too. When the Mets first signed him, I was very skeptical going, he had a really bad year the year before unless they see something and figure they could turn the ship around. They did not. He was horrible. But yeah, no, I think that's the main approach that Stearns is trying, which I could respect it a little bit, but I'm curious to see how it actually pans out. Speaking of former Mets, also a former Yankee as well. Yep. Harrison Bader signed with the San Francisco Giants for 2 years, $20.5 million.
I think that's a good contract.
I think that's a great contract. I loved Harrison Bader when he was on the Mets. I know he was very good on the Yankees as well.
Yep.
He was
Great in the
really
playoffs.
impressive with the Cardinals, but for me, I remember at some points last year when the trade deadline was going on, I wanted the Mets to go out and get him again. And he ends up going to Philadelphia, and he finishes the year batting in the 300s with Philly down that stretch. So
I remember, I think that was the 2022 playoff run.
Yep.
And the one game I went to was the pretty much the one game he didn't hit a home run in, and I had money on it that game.
Of course you did.
I had $15 on Bader to hit a home run, and before I put the $15 on that, I said to my friend, joking around, I said, you know what? I might just put $15 on Judge and Stanton both to go deep in this game. And he goes, you're insane. He goes, I put money on Stanton. But I said, he goes, you're going to put money on Judge and Stanton? I'm like, you know what? I said, Bader's been hot. I'll put it on Bader. We get to the game. I think it's first or second at bat for Stanton. He goes deep. This is the same offseason where Judge was a free agent after.
Yeah.
And next at bat from Judge, he goes yard, and then he runs back into the dugout and he kisses the jersey. My friend looks at me and goes, you should have put money on both of them to go yard.
Thanks, man. I would have if it wasn't for you suggesting me not to.
And this segment is sponsored by DraftKings. Not really.
No, not really, no.
But
now,
yeah.
speaking of non-needle movers, you saw the Yankees get a right-handed pitcher, Angel
Chevalier, I think.
Chevalier.
Yeah.
And in reality, it's another Matt Blake project. Probably going to be a failed Matt Blake project because he has a career ERA of 6.18. And he had a ERA of 7.06 last year. You can make the argument that he was playing in Colorado, but
Well, yeah.
The juice ball in Colorado, yeah.
But it doesn't really. It's not. You need bullpen arms, right? You'll be like, oh well, look at what Matt Blake did with Fernando Cruz. Look at what Matt Blake did with so and so. Yeah, but you still have people that Matt Blake failed with, like Andrew Heaney. Matt Blake failed to properly develop Frankie Montas the right way.
Well, it's not a surprise. Montas sucks.
He failed with. In later seasons, Chapman kind of just fell off for the Yankees.
Yeah, and then he goes to the Red Sox, and he's been very, very good. So
yeah, and then you have Matt Blake project. Clay Holmes was great in the beginning, failed in the end. There are other pitchers that Matt Blake kind of just hit on the needle that started off pretty well, and then just not so great.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I was kind of surprised. But again, like we kind of expected this. The Yankees have not really done much. The biggest thing that they've done this whole free agency and offseason
is bringing
back Cody Bellinger. Everything else has kind of been a swing and a miss, if you even want to say that. I don't even know if you can count it as a swing. It was more like a check swing and a miss. But
the only other thing they did is they brought in Ryan Weathers, which
wow.
Ryan Weathers.
Wow, what a needle mover. Ryan
Yeah,
Weathers.
I'm not saying it's a needle mover.
But that's my point. They have not made a needle moving signing or trade this entire offseason. The only thing that they did that got fans excited was bring back Bellinger.
It's because Cashman is delusional.
No, it's because Cashman is
No.
sleeping.
No. He came out the other day and he said he's delusional. He came out the other day and he said, I'm going to argue with anybody who says we don't have a championship roster right now.
He says that every offseason.
He's delusional.
Yeah. I wonder.
You lost to the Blue Jays in the playoffs, right? And the Blue Jays got better. They didn't get worse. And what happened to you? You stayed the same. You're going to come out and say, oh, yeah, we have Garrett Cole coming back. If he doesn't come back and he doesn't pitch like he is at least 75% like Garrett Cole at the beginning of the season, because he doesn't have to be like that ace, that dominant guy until October. That's when it really matters.
Well, of course.
If he doesn't come out and pitch like at least he's 70% of his former self, then you're screwed.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I would have definitely seen them doing more, and I'm kind of surprised that he came out and said, "Oh, well, we have a championship roster," because everybody. We talked about this last episode.
They called
everybody in the AL East got way better. Everybody except maybe Tampa. Baltimore got better. The Red Sox got better. Toronto got better. Yankees stayed the same. And Tampa Bay is just a dump. We're not even going to talk about that.
Well, the only thing I will say that he's kind of smart on is they did call up the Tigers for Scooble.
Oh, well, which was
smart, but they kind of stepped away from the asking price.
Of course, because they're not going to give him up for cheap.
Well, we're giving him up for cheap, number one. Number two, I'm pretty sure Cashman isn't going to give up a lot of prospects like they did for Soto for somebody who could potentially be another one-year rental.
It makes sense.
So what the Tigers asked for, they asked for Cam Schlittler, Ben Rice, and George Lombard Jr. for Scooble. And
That's not bad.
It's not bad, but for a potential 1-year deal, because Scooble's agent, I believe, is Scott Boras.
Oh, what a shocker!
Well, hold on, let me see that.
What a shocker!
So on the topic of the prospects, we were talking about the Yankees holding on to prospects for way too long last episode, and I actually just saw yesterday the MLB came out with their top 100 list. And I saw for the first time in a couple of years, Spencer Jones did not make the MLB top 100 list. So every single year, I feel like with the Yankees, we just see the decline of the perception of these guys in the farm system. And that's why, again, you needed to trade a guy like Spencer Jones 2 years ago.
They hold on to people for way too long.
Way too long.
And then they bring them up for like a month or 2 months, and then they struggle, and they bring them back down. And then they bring him up again. That's how they ruin people. They ruined Clint Frazier that way. They ruined Miguel Andujar that way. They ruined Estevan Florial, Everson Pereira.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a long list. It's not pretty, but like I said, they didn't really do anything drastic. The best move, to be honest with you, I think that we've seen out of at least this week was Jose Ramirez signing his extension. And to be honest with you, I think he's a little bit underpaid.
I was surprised by his contract.
He came out and said that he felt like the Cleveland Guardians were a smaller market team, and he liked playing there, and he knew that if he had declined their offer, he could have got more money from a bigger market team.
Oh, no doubt.
But he said he felt like they needed a star.
Well, they do, and he is their star.
And he said he feels like that's his home, and he wouldn't feel right or comfortable leaving Cleveland to go play for another team.
Well, it's not the sake of that.
So, honestly, it's more or less a respect for the fan base.
It is, but he's not even making $30 million a year off of the extension extra.
Well, he came out and said that he took a pay cut to stay there.
Well, that's my point, though, is he easily could have made more than $200 million through the 7-year extension.
Well, I agree. It's
look
kind of like
resume.
It's a pretty good resume. It's kind of like what Judge did to stay with the Yankees. The Padres.
Yeah, Judge is making $400 million.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, the Yankees offered him. I thought it was like 3 something.
What?
Or were the Yankees offer? I think the Padres offered him $315 over 8 years.
Well,
still. And Judge said, you know what? No, I'm gonna stay.
Listen, my thing is, look at his resume and tell me that he is not deserving of at least $200 million.
No, he is.
7-time All-Star, 6-time Silver Slugger, 6-time MVP finalist, 4-time All MLB team selection. He has last year he finished with a .283 batting average, 30 home runs, 85 RBIs, 44 stolen bases.
Yeah, still a phenomenal player.
I mean, this is in veteran years of him, too. That was probably one of his worst years that he's had in his career, at least batting average-wise. And not even $200 million added to the extension? That's my point. It's not that I understand Cleveland's a smaller market team. I get it. But still, they could have at least thrown him a little bit extra money. $30 million in the MLB is really not that much.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No.
So you're telling me he couldn't have at least gotten to 200? That would have, even then, it still would have been like, okay, he's severely underpaid. I understand why he wanted to take the pay cut, sure, but you're telling me that he couldn't make $200 million throughout 7 years added onto an extension is ridiculous. That guy is the cornerstone of your franchise. Easily going to end up being a Hall of Famer, is arguably one of the best third basemen in baseball right now, if not the best. Not even $200 million in the extension for 7 years. That's insane. Insane.
He's been the most consistent third baseman, too.
100%. He's also the only member of Cleveland to have 30-plus home runs and 30-plus stolen bases in a single season multiple times.
Yeah, a lot of people look at Jose Ramirez, and they look at him, and they're like, nah, he's just a power guy. No. He can move.
Yeah.
He can move.
Well, he was
phenomenal
also
on the bases as well.
He's good on the bases, and he's been in Gold Glove talks. He's just never won, but he's always been in conversation.
Well, that award's a joke anyway. We established that last week.
That. But you get my point, though, is he's still in that conversation as well, too. So not only is he winning Silver Slugger awards, and not only is he, getting an all-star bid almost every single season, he's in Gold Glove conversations. He's hitting 30-plus home runs. He's stealing 30-plus bases. I think his career batting average is 280-something.
Not to mention he's also a switch hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand what more you could ask.
Yeah.
I just don't know. So that's why I was a little surprised.
But
still, it's a great signing for Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a win for them.
What do you think his career average was?
It's got to be somewhere in the 280s.
Close.
Lower?
Yeah.
275.
Higher.
Okay, it's somewhere right in the 277.
279.
Oh, yeah. Wow, he's off by 1 point. Basically a 280 career hitter.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
He has 287 stolen bases throughout his career.
Yeah, how many home runs does he have?
285.
Yeah, insane. Very versatile in the lineup as well. And I think this is really good for Cleveland because it kind of speaks to potentially the culture that they've built in Cleveland of, look at this phenomenal player. He's willing to take a pay cut. Hey, other players. I know other players don't want to take a pay cut per se to come to Cleveland, obviously. But maybe if they could start getting some guys in future off seasons based off of this deal on average to slightly above average market value, I think this would be a big signing for them in the future.
No, it's not even players don't want to take a pay cut to play for Cleveland. It's players don't want to take a pay cut at all.
Yeah.
Well,
You've seen players sign shorter contracts just because teams will give them money, a lot more money, a lot more money than they're worth per year. Dodgers. You got it's insane. This game it turned into a money hungry.
Get ready for the lockout.
Exactly. It turned into a money hungry, money power game. When I get Yankees used to do that, but I'm not saying that because I'm mad that they're not doing it. Because I'm not saying I'm not mad, but at the same time, right? If you have a team like the Dodgers every offseason who goes out and gets the top guy, and they keep deferring money,
That'll change.
Well, yeah, but you're going to understand how it's not only going to aggravate the National League fans, it's going to aggravate everybody, because then all of a sudden, right, you have the 2016 Golden State Warriors as a baseball team.
Yeah, well, that's the way it's going, but unfortunately we're going to end up having a lockout. We've already talked about that before, too. So it's
Kyle
not gonna
Tucker
surprise
is Kevin Durant.
Well, good. Let Kyle Tucker be Kevin Durant, because guess what? He's not going to be playing baseball next year anyway, because we're all going to be locked out. So it ain't going to matter. But anyway, off the MLB talk, obviously, like we said, there was not really many needle movers. But the big talk, speaking of the trade deadlines.
Well, that's why I said Kevin Durant.
Yes, because we are going to go into the NBA.
Talking about the Warriors, too.
We have three big names, obviously, that have been floated around in trade deadline talks and rumors so far. The three, I think, is very obvious, is Giannis, Ja Morant, and Anthony Davis. Those have been the big three that everyone's been talking about. Where will they go? They're going to end up being on the move at some point, with their teams kind of struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of them are approaching the end or the later stages of their contracts, looking for extensions. Where do we think they're going to go? Now, I'm not an NBA.
How old is Giannis?
I think he's about 29. If I'm not mistaken.
I think he's older than that. I think he's
early 30s,
I think he's
late
early
20s.
30s.
Yeah.
He's early 30s. But getting it, I'm not like the big NBA guy. I like watching. I know my stuff. But I'm not really sure what we're going to see from this NBA trade deadline. So I'll kind of have you guys kind of go a little bit more into it, more than I would.
He's 31.
He's 31.
Yep.
So we're going to start out with the 31-year-old Giannis. Obviously, on Wednesday this week, it was reported that Giannis was open to being moved off of the Milwaukee Bucks after 12 years with the organization. Obviously, it was they were a little hesitant at first because he's their franchise guy. He's been the cornerstone of that franchise for the past couple seasons now. Helped bring them a championship. They started out really rough this year, unfortunately. They sit 12th in the Eastern Conference. So they're definitely going to be more willing to move off of him now than they ever were at any points. There are a bunch of teams that have been interested in him. Right now, it seems like the front runners, it's really down to about 4 teams. I heard that 2 are most likely in the forefront, but I was hearing that Golden State, Miami, New York, the Knicks, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are the 4 teams at the forefront.
Here's what I'm going to say about this, right? I've been seeing recently, again, that Cat is upset, not happy that his name is being floated around in Giannis trade rumors, right? You know what I have to say about that?
Boo-hoo.
Play better, and you will stay. If you continue to play at the rate you're playing and keep making mistakes, missing layups, not grabbing rebounds, not doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you're going to get shipped off to Milwaukee if the Knicks get Giannis. That's all. It's not that hard.
Yeah. I will.
If you're a disgruntled superstar because your name is being floated around in trade talks, I get you just got traded here last season, right? Last season you played well. In the playoffs you had a few good games. This season you start off phenomenal, and now you're kind of just doing whatever you want to do because you're like, oh yeah, I get paid. I can do what I want.
Well, it's not even that. The point is, every sport is a business. You are going to get traded for better superstars if the team is interested in it. It's going to happen. It happens in every sport. It happens in baseball, happens in hockey, happens in football, happens in basketball. It happens in every single sport. So if he's going to sit here and cry and get disgruntled, I'll look at the camera now and I'll tell you, boo-hoo, go buy some Kleenex. And either that or step it up.
Now, what I'm going to say is he's lucky because in the NBA, right, I believe I don't know the exact amount of days, but I believe it's an 80-day restriction after you get traded.
Yeah.
It's an 80-day restriction after you get traded before you get traded again. If you were, let's say this, right? Let's say the Yankees go out and they trade for a guy like, let's say they trade for a piece that another team could use, right? They could trade for him on a Monday, right? On a Tuesday, or maybe even 2 hours after they get him on that Monday, they could ship him off to another team to go get another superstar if that's the piece that they needed to get that superstar.
Yeah.
They could have traded with another team to get, let's throw around a name like James Wood. So they got James Wood from the Nationals, right? Or C.J. Abrams because they're looking for C.J. Abrams, right? They could get that player to then throw him in another package with maybe Spencer Jones or Lombard to go get a guy like Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah.
And you know what?
And it's quick turnover.
It's quick turnover.
Yeah.
You're lucky. You have an 80-day restriction. You can't be complaining and moaning. Clyde Frazier is also like the announcer is also like pissed off because Cat's not playing the way he's like supposed to be playing.
And this is something I've said even when we first got Cat. I was excited at first for a guy his size with the amount of offensive potential that he has should be one of the most dominant players in the league.
Exactly.
He's probably the best 3-point shooting big man in NBA history, I would say.
Well, in NBA history,
at volume.
Yes.
Yeah. In NBA history, yes, but in the league right now, no. I'd probably say it's Jokic.
Well, regardless, you're going to cry about being traded. There's only one way you change that. You step it up.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
His role has been confusing. Let's talk about the Bucks here for a second, though, with the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade and the Bucks perspective. So, in my opinion, the central issue with the Bucks organization going forward is the Damian Lillard trade, and it's the fallout from the Damian Lillard trade. They have absolutely no picks whatsoever, and this is why I just don't think Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Knicks makes sense. First off, you need a third team involved. Second off, the Knicks just don't have any draft capital, so you would have to have a third team involved. You'd have to trade some of your win-now assets, such as OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. You'd have to trade that to a third team that would then give the Bucks draft picks. So in my opinion, the team that makes sense by far with the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade,
Warriors.
To me, it's the Golden State Warriors. I think the Golden State Warriors have a real chance at being the worst team in basketball in 5 years, in 4 years, in 3 years. The way they've drafted and developed talent over the last 5 to 10 years in the Steve Kerr era has been absolutely egregious. They have not made one good draft pick under Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr has not drafted and developed one good player. James Wiseman at the second pick in the draft was a disaster. Pajemski is okay. I think the one player Steve Kerr's even developed has been Kevon Looney as a second-round pick, as a good role player for about 2 years. So looking at the Warriors, they have such a turnover with their front office as well. The people who built the Steph Curry era aren't even there anymore. To me, if you trade Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Warriors, you can match the contract with Jimmy Butler. I thought at first the Jimmy Butler injury would take the Warriors out of the running, but actually when I did a little bit more research, it actually makes more sense for them to trade for him now because he's kind of just a salary dump within the trade. So if I'm the Bucks, I have none of my own first-round picks. The two things I'm trying to do is A, get my picks back from the Trailblazers. So that could be a Knicks trade, and the Trailblazers could be the third team involved there. It doesn't make too much sense from the Trailblazers perspective. Or you go after the Warriors picks, which again, I think are going to be very valuable.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of mock drafts, mock trades as well.
What I saw for mock trades were the Bucks would receive Cat and Deuce McBride, right? And then they would do pick swaps from 27 to 32, all first round.
Yeah.
The Knicks. And what you could do is you could give the Blazers some of those picks, right? And then just say, hey, give the Bucks their picks back.
Well, I also saw one, too, that included the Trailblazers as well, but it had the Knicks receiving Drew Holiday and Giannis, as well as giving up Cat. I believe it was, oh, my God, who the hell was it? Not McBride, Diamant?
The guy from France.
Yes. Him and then somebody else. I don't remember if it was Kolek and then a couple picks, and then Portland would get, I think, like a ton of picks as well. I don't know if that's...
it was Cat, McBride, and Diame.
Yeah, that's it. That was probably the most likely scenario. Now, at the same time, I think that his best fit could possibly be Golden State. I think that Miami's a very sneaky team in this as well, too.
Yeah.
I really do. I know that they've talked about it for the past couple of seasons because, Milwaukee's had their struggles, and I know Miami wants to really bolster their lineup as well. So I was very surprised hearing that the front runners were the Knicks and Golden State. I wouldn't be surprised if Miami could slip in there as well.
Yeah,
even Minnesota, too. I think that that's a very sneaky one. But
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does wind up on the Warriors and Knicks, but, I mean... At this point, right, if the Knicks are going to do it, it has to be now because they've been linked to him several times before.
Since August,
and the Bucks have kind of just said, no, we're not looking to get rid of him. And now if you call them up and say, hey, what does it take to get him, right? If you can pair up Brunson with Giannis and you can keep a guy that's great on defense like Anunoby, and you can keep Bridges, and then you can bring in a guy also like Drew Holiday to come off the bench.
Well, it also depends with Josh Hart, too.
Well, Josh Hart he's coming off the bench anyway right now.
Well, yeah, but like I said, kind of going into what you said, too. It makes sense for the Knicks to try and pull the trigger now. I doubt it does happen. I think that they're going to end up sticking with a very similar roster, and they may try and fall back and get somebody else.
No, I think they move off a Cat at this deadline, and if they don't, they are stupid.
Yeah, the thing is with Cat and Jalen Brunson and comparing and contrasting Cat and Brunson to Cat and Giannis, obviously Brunson and Giannis are significantly better defensively. Offensively, I have my severe reservations, and the reason why is because I think Brunson and Cat have shown an inability to work together offensively. It seems very your turn, my turn. They're not great in the pick and roll. The issue with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard, and what was exposed with Giannis Antetokounmpo's game with Damian Lillard, he's very bad at being the picker in the pick and roll actions. He's actually, believe it or not, better as the pick and roll ball handler, which is why Giannis Antetokounmpo and Lopez won championships together with Lopez at the center position. It was because Giannis was kind of running that point guard role. So I don't think Giannis at this stage in his career can develop into a high-end pick and roll guy on the pick. It's just not within his game. So my fear is they'll have less spacing. Spacing is already an issue with the Knicks. You have Karl Anthony Towns, who is your best three-point shooter. You take that away and you get Giannis, who's not a three-point shooter. I just see the Knicks offense being stagnant with Giannis Antetokounmpo still.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up like that.
Here's another thing, right? When Brook Lopez and Giannis were dominating, right? They had a prominent head coach, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at Giannis and Dame, their head coach was Doc Rivers.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that Doc Rivers ain't all that.
No, he's not at all. He used to be.
He showed in Philadelphia that he could be good, but he had Joel Embiid at the prime of his career. He had a young Tyrese Maxey. He's had a lot of chances.
His failures
right?
with the Clippers.
And
so
I was just about to say that.
Egregious. Those are phenomenal teams.
And then you bring Giannis into a big market team like New York, right? And you have a coach like Mike Brown who, I don't know if he's frustrated with Cat, but at the beginning of the season they were playing perfectly fine. If you bring in a big man like that, I'm pretty sure Giannis could figure out a way to. Yeah. With the right coaching, it depends. I can guarantee you that the unsuccessfulness of Giannis and Dame. It wasn't all from Giannis and Dame. I'm pretty sure it was the plays that were drawn up by Doc Rivers.
It probably
Lack
was.
thereof as well.
Well, that's the better way to put it, is the lack thereof of
Now,
drawing up
moving
plays.
on to the next name, who's also a big man, which is a player that I would be hesitant to trade for at all.
Yeah, glass bones and paper skin, Anthony Davis. Yeah, no.
The brow.
The brow. It's more like the broken bone. Because he gets hurt all the time. He's been injured, 3 separate times this year already between I think it was a hamstring and then a back or an ankle, and then now it's his hand.
Which has been ongoing for him throughout his career.
And you want to know what the funny thing about that is? He was the cornerstone player in the Luka trade.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Nico Harrison, you dope.
They should have flipped him in the offseason.
They didn't get. I don't even think they got a first. I don't even think they got a first. They got one first-round pick for Luka, maybe.
Max Christie, I think
Max
2 first-round
Christie.
picks. That's about it. And those first-round picks are absolutely nothing with Luka. You're not even going to be in the lottery with those picks.
No.
The thing with Anthony Davis and these injuries, maybe you could potentially buy low on him. To me, I think at this point in Anthony Davis's career, you want to pair him with a Karl Anthony Towns or a Nikola Jokic-esque center. So the brunt of his duties are, okay, we have this phenomenal offensive center. Just clean up the back end on the defense. Be a guy who's going to give us 18 points a game efficiently. And I think he can actually be a needle mover if you only play him about 30 minutes a game, which is why I think my favorite destination for him is something we don't even have listed here. It's the Nuggets. I think if the Nuggets got a healthy Anthony Davis, I think that pairs up perfectly against Chet Holmgren in a potential matchup against the Thunder. And I actually think they would win the championship this year if they had a healthy Anthony Davis.
I'm glad that somebody said that. The only reason why I didn't really have that down is because it hasn't really been talked about at all.
Yeah.
It's very in the background. I think that would actually be a very sneaky move. For me, to be honest, I would not be surprised if the Detroit Pistons are the team that end up getting him. Only reason why I say that is just personally, Detroit's been a pleasant surprise over the past couple of seasons. They're fully rebuilt. Obviously, they struggled big time the past couple of seasons a few years ago.
Yeah,
now you have a whole different roster.
Well, yeah,
what's the
because
one thing they lack?
Cade Cunningham is.
Yeah, but what's
phenomenal.
the one thing that they lack is a veteran presence.
Yep.
And I feel like Anthony Davis, as a big man, could definitely help out in an East right now that is very up for grabs. I think that could be a potential move that gives Detroit even more of an upper edge over a lot of teams in the East. I think that that's a great move for them.
So what you're saying is Anthony Davis could help by warming up the bench for the Pistons?
Well,
Because he won't see the court. He'll play 2 or 3 games, get hurt, come back, play 10 minutes, complain about his toenail.
Okay, well, listen, it's based off of the hypothetical. He's also saying that they could go to the Nuggets. What's he going to do? Is he going to spend his time on the Nuggets on the IR?
Probably.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
But it's the point of if he is to come back and somehow remain healthy, I feel like the Pistons could benefit a lot from it. They're a very young team. They need veteran leadership. He's a very good player when he is healthy. I think that gives them an upper edge. And like I said, an East right now that is very wide open. There's not a clear-cut favorite.
I agree. You know, I'm saying this right now only because I'm thinking this is kind of like a given. I'm not gonna associate him with AD anymore. I'm just gonna call him IR because that's where he always is.
IR Davis. That's
IR
right.
Davis.
IR Davis.
I like
IR
A
Davis.
Disney as well, based on that
A
Disney
Disney,
bubble as well. Again, the thing with Davis is you could buy low on him, and why I like Detroit as a destination as well, they have like 3 or 4 young big men they could flip in this trade. Obviously, you probably want to keep Durant, but other than that, you have a lot of pieces you could potentially trade to the Mavericks, a team that I think has been a bit delusional in the last year of thinking we want to rebuild, but we also want to win now. So they're in that 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of mode. So if you can get a guy in Durant potentially or other guys on the roster who have shown it but are also young, that's the type of player the Mavericks are going after.
So I'm going to say this right now. If I heard you say that you didn't think the Mavericks were delusional, I would say you're kind of like an idiot because
I was going to say you're delusional.
You're delusional because they traded away a generational superstar in Luka Doncic
for a quote-unquote win-now player, which is insane.
And they were in a win-now. After the previous year, he just brought you guys to the NBA Finals, right?
Yeah.
He's a win-now, win-later player.
And granted, you didn't win, but you still have Luka as a win-now player.
Yeah.
And you're getting rid of a win-now player who is way younger than Anthony Davis. And you're saying Anthony Davis is a win-now player.
If you flipped him for 7 first-round picks, I'd still be like,
Then-
that's insane, but okay.
If you flipped Luka for 7 first-round picks plus Anthony Davis and Max Christie, I would have been like, okay, like that's not. It's still not enough, but it's way better than what you got in return for him.
Whichever GM would have agreed to 7 picks and 2 players for 1 player would have gotten shot on the spot. That would never happen. Like that would be You said insane. You said insane. No. That's insane. That would never happen. Last name we'll talk about is someone who's also very insane. He's had his own off-the-court issues as well as some on-the-court issues, but obviously he's a very, very big superstar in the NBA, is Mr. Ja Morant himself. Obviously, he's been talked about a lot over the past few seasons.
I have heard that there is a deal in place to send him to the Pelicans, but
Okay.
They're a disaster.
well, not only that they're a disaster, number one. Number two, the Grizzlies are asking for a first-round pick, and the Pelicans are only offering a second-round pick because they don't want to give up a first-round pick.
I wouldn't if I was them. Their first-round pick is very valuable. Why not just flip the first pick in the draft for the second pick in the draft? Zion for Ja Morant, see what happens.
I mean,
well, the only thing here, right, is that there's a workaround for New Orleans, right? Just give them a protected first-round pick.
Yeah, lottery protected potentially.
Lottery protected first-round pick, right?
Yeah.
You'll still be in the lottery. You'll still be pretty bad. But I forgot what I think that it was like CJ McCollum isn't on the.
no, he was just involved in that one of the more recent trades that happened.
Yep.
I forgot what the trade.
Oh no, that was in the Trae Young trade. With CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
He was.
But
the contract dumping out.
I forgot what the other 2 players were. I think one of them was, he went to UConn. I forgot what his name is. Jordan Hawkins was one of them.
He's been rotting on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Hawkins, somebody else. I forgot who they were, but I saw it the other day. And it's like, if the deal's in place and the only thing you're missing is a first-round pick, throw a lottery-protected first-round pick. If you make the lottery, they get 2 seconds. If you don't, well, then oh well.
Yeah, well, the way I look at it is I think that wouldn't be surprising if he goes to New Orleans. I think that it definitely fits within the style of the culture that he may want to play for as well, too. Now, the thing is, the one that, again, caught me a little bit off guard, I think Sacramento could potentially be a decent move for him just because I know it's vastly different, but that's the one thing that they really do not have. And I don't say this in a mean way, but we've talked about this man before on the podcast. You have Russell Westbrook leading the pack as one of their point guards in Sacramento. Now, granted, if this is Russell Westbrook from the Thunder leading it, okay, different story. But right now, that's the one thing I think that they really struggle with. So I would not be surprised if Sacramento can try and make that move, because if you acquire a guy like Ja Morant, you officially have your guy that can run the point for you. That's something I feel like they lack big time.
It's not a bad team either.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're like middle of the pack trying to find their way into the play-in.
The team that's throwing me way off guard is the Brooklyn Nets, because if you're going to get a guy like Ja Morant, you're going to have to give up a dude like Michael Porter Jr. And
well, they've been saying that they're willing to move him.
Well, yeah, well, as of right now,
He's gonna
right?
be valuable.
He's valuable right now, yes, I understand. But if you're trying to bring in a guy like Ja Morant to show your fans that, oh, we have potential, like, right, not trying to. I would want to pair him with Michael Porter Jr. instead of shipping Michael Porter Jr. off.
But everyone seems to forget this now, too. Don't let it go over you. They have a plethora of picks that they got with Mikal Bridges being traded to the New York Knicks. Remember how many picks the Knicks gave up? 5. So they still have a ton of picks that they got in return for Mikal Bridges.
Yeah,
so
but they don't know how to draft either.
Well, they don't, but they don't know how to draft either, which makes it even more perfect. They could trade away a majority of those picks and probably end up getting Ja Morant.
No,
and they
but
wouldn't have to give up 5.
But what I'm saying is if the Nets go out for a guy like Ja Morant and they give up Michael Porter Jr., that's stupid. Because
but they don't have to.
They don't. But what I'm saying is the Nets GM isn't that smart. He's probably not that smart. He wouldn't do that. Michael Porter Jr. would most definitely be in that trade.
I don't know about that.
Zach.
Zach. This is the same guy that got Mikal Bridges for 5 picks.
And Trae Young just set the precedent for the market,
don't
and
think that he
his
would do the
value
same?
was so low to the point where I feel like Michael Porter Jr., I think a lot of teams view him as a needle mover to win a championship. Whether that's true or not, it's yet to be seen, but he was a significant part. I thought he was the difference in all those Lakers-Nuggets series. I thought LeBron
it's up there.
and AD versus Jokic and Jamal Murray were genuinely
Knicks,
even. I thought the needle mover was
the Knicks traded, gave up 5 picks for Mikal Bridges. Yes, I understand that's like whatever. But I can guarantee you it's only because Brunson walked into the front office and said, "Hey, I want Bridges on this team now."
But you're right. But again, like I said, they're not necessarily. I'm not saying that they're going to give up all 5.
And in all honesty, right? Kind of like the Warriors. If you look at the most recent years, the Knicks haven't picked great players.
No, you're right.
So the Knicks were like, you know what? If we can't draft anybody good, let's give up 4 middle schoolers. 3 middle schoolers and 2 high schoolers and a 1 pick right now for Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, but my whole point of it is I'm not even referring to the Knicks in this sense. But
even though they gave
the fact that the Nets gave up Bridges for 5 picks, they still have a ton of them. They do not have to move Michael Porter Jr. if they want Ja, because you could probably buy a little bit lower on Ja than you could a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
He's had his injury problems. He's had his off-court issues. I feel like a lot of
don't
teams
go up
are
to him in public.
Well, no, but I feel like a lot of teams are afraid to pull the trigger and make the move because you don't know
Ja's not afraid to pull the trigger.
Well, we know that. But they may be scared to actually follow through with it because you don't know what's going to end up happening. He could end up facing suspension or getting in legal trouble and you blow it. So it's potential that the Brooklyn Nets go out and say, "Hey, listen, we'll give you 3 first-round picks for Ja Morant." How do you feel about that?
I still think that's a little bit high.
It's still a little bit high, but you know what? You think that they're going to say no? Then you get to keep Michael Porter Jr. and you get Ja Morant.
Which is why, with the culture, I think the Miami Heat make the most sense. Every single year, really for the last 20 years, they have this mindset of, I don't care what your legal troubles are. I don't care what your off-court troubles are or on-court troubles are, your team chemistry issues. We're going to bring you into the Miami Heat culture, and we're going to fix you.
That'd be one scary team, Terry Rozier and Ja Morant.
Yeah, which is, I think they're a little bit
gambler and a shooter,
buying into their own sauce a little bit with the Miami Heat. I think they are a little bit naive to think they could change Ja Morant, but I do think Ja Morant to the Heat makes the most sense.
I don't think any team could change the way Ja Morant acts.
I
am
agree.
Sorry.
Hey, listen, you know what? It's similar to what we said about the whole baseball situation. High risk, high reward. If you could somehow figure out to get Ja Morant into a normal state of mind where he's not doing what he's doing, it's going to be very beneficial. But that's, again, very high risk. There's a chance that he comes in and says, absolutely not, I'm not changing the way that I am, and it destroys the projection of the team or the trajectory of the team. So it'll be interesting to see where
I think
all
if
these
he
guys
goes
go.
to Miami, he gets in trouble within the first 2 weeks.
I would not be surprised. That's a dangerous place for him to go because Miami is party town USA. Especially
Exactly.
down there. He's going to be having a hell of a time. And I
Exactly.
guarantee you he's going to be hitting up the strip clubs that are down there. I would not be surprised. But yeah, anyway, I feel like those are the 3 big names that we'll kind of really touch on. There's not really many more. There will be some other trades that are going to happen. It'll be interesting to see what direction we go in. Obviously, I'm curious to see where all of these guys go if they end up getting traded. Some of them may. I'm assuming Giannis is probably the most likely to get traded out of everybody. Ja Morant is probably the least likely to get traded out of everybody. So I'm curious to see how it pans out, but we still have, another week before we truly find out where everybody gets moved. I believe they said the deadline is February 5th.
Yeah.
So by then we should figure out the actual landscape of the league itself, and we'll kind of project where teams will go after. But speaking of trade deadlines, we also have another trade deadline that is also coming up, and that is the NHL trade deadline. Now, this is my forte because I've been looking around, and especially as a Rangers fan, there are a lot of players on the Rangers that are probably going to end up getting moved. There's a couple big names that we can talk about.
Artemi Panarin.
Well, yeah, that's one that we'll kind of go there. But, I mean, if you got one of you guys wants to bring it in here, because I'm going to be going on a nice little hockey rant, because I've been waiting for this all day.
So real quick, Zach, before you get into the rant, the question I wanted to ask you is how would you compare and contrast the value of picks in the NHL compared to NBA, NFL, for example?
Well, the way that I always look at it, too, is it really depends on what organization holds the picks. Because there are some organizations that are very, very good when it comes to drafting and utilizing either whether it be first-round picks or late-round picks. Some teams are very good at developing those picks, similar to the sense of football, like my favorite team, the LA Rams,
Phenomenal.
where they could use late-round picks and develop guys.
Yep.
Whereas the Rangers are vastly different, where they've
They can
had the
use
first
any pick.
overall pick, and they just do not know how to develop them at all. I mean, the last couple picks that I remembered from recent years is guys like Capo Caco, guys like Alexei Lafreniere, Vitaly Kravtsov. I mean, they've had a lot of first-round picks. Alexei Lafreniere was a first overall pick in 2020. And right now, he's at best a mid to top 6 forward that really does not put up many points. People were saying that he was going to be the next big thing. He clearly has not looked like it. We will talk about him later on because there are some big names. He technically could be on the block, but like I said, I'm not going to spoil it. I'll kind of get there at some point. But I feel like the picks really don't make up for it. I feel like a lot more of it now is based off of young prospects. Guys that you've seen play at different skill levels, whether that be at the AHL level in college, the OHL, the ECHL. There are going to be guys that if they have the experience and they've showcased that they have a good skill set, there will be teams that will be interested and use those guys as potential bricks to a certain trade, if that makes sense. It's interesting to see.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's more so of the value of MLB draft picks.
Closer, yes.
Even though
I'd
you can't
put
really
that.
move them
Yeah.
like that. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's the way that I'd probably put it. But there's about 5 big names right now that are really, to be honest, to me, the ones that are most likely to be moved. One of them I put on here is Alexei Lafreniere, but like I said, I'll get to him towards the end because I feel like he's least likely to be moved out of any of them.
Yes. This one that I'm going to bring up, we've talked about several times. And he is going into the last year. He's in his last year of his deal, Artemi Panarin. He's told by the front office that they don't plan to offer him an extension. So, which means if they don't trade him, he's just going to walk in free agency for nothing.
Yep.
He has 19 goals, 38 assists, 57 points in 52 games this season. He's 34, making $11.6 million this year, and he still draws a lot of interest from Cup contenders looking to give them a bump. He's linked to Washington, Carolina, Colorado, Dallas, Anaheim, San Jose, and Los Angeles.
Yeah, now I've heard so far from a lot of those teams that you just mentioned, there is 3 teams that have really popped up in the forefront now, and that is the Washington Capitals, Carolina Hurricanes, and Colorado Avalanche. I think it's fairly obvious why. Washington, had hopes of being a Stanley Cup contender last year. They were a very, very good squad. Now you also have guys like Ovechkin that are kind of on their way out the door, so they do need to somewhat replace him. Obviously, Panarin is a player that I watched very closely as a New York Rangers fan. I'm thankful for everything that he's done for the organization. Probably one of the best signings in free agency in New York sports history, with the actual statistics and what he brought to the organization was incredible. They did announce that he was going to be sitting out until the Olympic roster freeze, which obviously means that they're saving him so that they can trade him to one of those teams. The one that I would not be surprised ends up with him is going to be Colorado. Number 1 team in the NHL right now, fewest amount of losses in regulation, bunch of superstars on that team, decent amount of cap space, a lot of prospects in their pool. Would not be surprised to see him go there. Only reason why Carolina may be a little bit closer is just because they've done deals with Carolina much more recently. Obviously, the Keandre Miller trade to Carolina ended up being a big one for the Rangers. They got a bunch of prospects back. Would not be surprised if that's another team that's very close, but I think that Colorado does end up getting him. But the part that bothers me is just I love Panarin and what he'd done for the Rangers.
Before we move on to the next player we're going to speak about, you said that he may be the best signing in free agency out of any New York team. And I could make an argument.
You can, but it's invalid.
What do you mean?
The only reason why I say this, now I know the one that you'll say is Jalen Brunson, maybe.
Exactly.
The only reason why I say this is because Panarin's been there longer and his contributions to the team as a whole, he is the biggest reason why the Rangers were in any sort of competition the past, I'd say, 7 years, 6 years. Brunson's still got a ways to go, but right now it's very close. At least in New York sports hockey, there's no better free agent signing ever.
In hockey, I agree, but what I'm saying is the Knicks weren't okay. The bridge player that brought player to the Knicks was Julius Randle. Like, thank him for that. But what Brunson did his first 4 years on the team, he brought him to the playoffs every single year.
Yeah.
Brunson, you can't say that what Brunson is doing right now isn't what Panarin did for the Rangers.
To me, the precedent that Brunson set, look at the Knicks free agency over the last 30, 40 years. They've never, ever gotten a good free agent, ever. They can't get a good free agent. So for Brunson to go to the Knicks in free agency started to kind of rip the Band-Aid off of, hey, maybe the Knicks can get a good free agent. So what Brunson represented, I think, is big for New York.
Well, no, I'm not. It's not a discredit to Brunson either. It's like I said, just the sake of how long he had been there, the contributions he made to the organization. He was the biggest reason why the Rangers were really competitive, especially offensively. Goaltending is another whole situation.
I'm not denying that. And I'm not taking that away from him, but I'm just saying, like...
No, I get it. I understand. Maybe it came across a little bit different than what you would have thought. I was basically... My whole point is...
Hockey-wise,
it's
hockey-wise,
one of
it
the
is
best
the
signings
best
they've ever had.
signings the Rangers have ever made.
It's one of the best signings that New York has seen, at least in the hockey world. It's unbelievable, and it's a sad thing to see, but it's the right move to be made. Obviously, they told him they weren't going to give him the extension. He's looking more in the range of like 4 years, $11.5 million. A lot of teams are offering about 3 for 12 as an extension for him, because I think the big thing that will happen with him is he's going to sign a contract extension and then be moved just so that team will take it on, if that makes sense. So I don't know what team it ends up being. I've heard San Jose was in the mix as well. I think that would be the most fun one, just because San Jose's got a lot of prospects as well. But I just don't see him going there. I see him going to a contender.
Watch him signing a contract extension, and then the team is like, yeah, you know what? No, thank you. And then
they already said that the only team that he'll be traded to is one that will offer him an extension. That's why they're going through this whole thing. He's going to get an extension whether or not it's with the Rangers. It's not going to be with the Rangers. It's going to be with one of the other teams. But they're going to end up trading him. It's no surprise. It just sucks because he's been one of my favorite players. Have his jersey at home, so it's going to be a painful thing to see.
Now Dougie Hamilton is next, right? You got Dougie Hamilton, who's on the trade block, 32. The Devils defenseman, $9 million cap hit next season. He has 6 goals, 14 assists, 20 points in 48 games.
Yeah, no, he's been much better over the past couple of weeks. One thing I did say, and a lot of people have seen, was Luke Hughes, the defenseman for the New Jersey Devils, ended up getting put on the long-term injured reserve. Dougie Hamilton was originally a healthy scratch during that time until they finally promoted him back into the lineup. He's been very, very good over the past couple weeks. Now, he's probably another one that may not be moved, but he's one of the bigger names that has been rumored to be on the trade block. Couple teams I could potentially see him going to, maybe Toronto. I know Toronto's looking for somebody of his caliber. They love to add more defensemen. Utah, another one, kind of needs a big splash, needs a little bit more of a veteran presence as well, too. They have a lot of young guys on their roster trying to really rebuild. I have heard teams like Detroit, Carolina, Nashville, and San Jose. San Jose is going to be in a lot of these conversations because they've definitely improved greatly over the past few years, got a couple really good prospects that have helped boost them. Obviously, Macklin Celebrini has been an absolute superstar leading the way for San Jose. It'll be curious to see where he goes. I don't think San Jose is another team that he's most likely to go to. They are in conversation, but I don't even know if he ends up getting moved, to be completely honest, especially with the Devils losing Jack Hughes the other night. I think that that's going to be a big thing for them. So I don't know. It'll be curious to see where he ends up going, if anywhere. Another name that we could talk about is Nazem Kadri. The guy is a very good player. He's at 35 years old. Hasn't really had some of his best years as of late. He's got 9 goals, 26 assists with a total of 35 points so far in 52 games. He's got a $7 million cap hit this season. It's going to be very tough to see where he really wants to go. I think that at this point in his career, he's kind of looking for a lot of what, a lot of vets would look for, and that's a contending team to go to. He's been linked to teams like Montreal, Colorado, Minnesota, and Dallas, all teams that are very, very competitive this year. Would not be surprised if he ends up going to one of those teams. There could be another sleeper in there as well, too. The last couple names I could kind of really touch on really aren't as big, but they are probably the bigger of the names, is Ryan O'Reilly from Nashville. I know his name's been floated around. However, he does not have a trade clause, so the organization of Nashville may actually grant him his wishes and keep him around. He has not asked for a trade at all. I wouldn't wouldn't be surprised if he is moved because they have struggled. They're starting to kind of figure it out, getting hot at a little bit at the right time, so he may not be moved either, but it's definitely a name to keep an eye on. I know Steven Stamkos was one of those guys as well. Then the big one that I said I was going to mention was Alexis Lafreniere. Reason why I could potentially see him being moved is he just signed a 7-year, $7.5 million deal last year with the Rangers. He's definitely I wouldn't say undervalued. What's the way I could put it? He has definitely underwhelmed with his statistics this year and in his career so far with the Rangers. Like I mentioned to you guys before, he's a 2020 first overall pick in the draft and has not performed to the level that a lot of people wanted, but they do feel that just like in any other sport, a change of scenery could be a big benefit for him.
Exactly. So do you think that perception has still followed him in a positive sense for the Rangers? They could still kind of position him as, hey, he was the first overall pick. Hey, he does have this tremendous potential. He just hasn't been able to see that potential with our organization.
Well, I think the way that they look at it right now is I know that it's bitten them before where they get rid of a top pick that they've had that really hasn't amounted to what they were looking for, and they end up moving off of him and it ends up being a big mistake. I think that depending on who else the Rangers move, if you do see guys like Panarin's definitely going to go, but if you see guys like Trocheck or Braden Schneider potentially traded as well, Sam Carrick is another name I've heard. If they trade some of those guys, I wouldn't be surprised if Lafreniere can get a bump up to the first line and they'll give him more of an opportunity to prove that he is a true top 3 forward, that he is a franchise piece that you want to keep, because he is only 24 years old. He's still very young. Yeah. He's got a long career ahead. It's just that he's been, like I said, underwhelming, hasn't really amounted to the amount of skill that a lot of people expected from him. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it out. Only reason why I'm a little skeptical about the whole thing is because this is, I believe, the final year of his contract where he does not have a no-trade clause. So if they were to decide to trade him now, they could, whereas in the future he will have a clause in his contract so they cannot move him unless he grants that and says, I will remove the clause from my contract. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's another, like I said, another name that doesn't get moved. He's been linked to a ton of other teams. You've seen teams like Montreal, Chicago, Utah, Seattle, Calgary, Anaheim, Minnesota. Whole bunch of them have all looked into him or inquired about him. Now, whether the Rangers move him, that's another story. I doubt they do. I think it would be stupid if they do. I'd give him one more year, but if they do decide to pull the trigger and trade him, I would not be surprised. I think that it would be a beneficial move for them if they plan on completely rebuilding. But just to kind of close it out before we move on, a couple other names that you may see moved. I already mentioned Vincent Trocheck. I already mentioned Braden Schneider, but also guys like Robert Thomas from St. Louis could be a guy that ends up getting moved. Another one which I was surprised Spitting Chicklets talked about was Evander Kane from Vancouver. Obviously, they've struggled, so it makes sense, but Kane has really not been the player that a lot of people have wanted over the past few years. Has a lot of issues going on off the ice as well. So that could be an issue. Calgary's Blake Coleman could be another name, and then Minnesota's Ryan Hartman. Those are all guys that I could potentially see being moved right now. But like I said, we saw very similar stuff with the NBA trade deadline, couple big names. Same thing with the NHL, but I'm, again, very curious to see how everything pans out. There's still a couple days left before it happens. So once we get there, we'll kind of see how the landscape is laid out and what the NHL will look like post-deadline. After that, we can go right now into one
UFC.
more thing before we talk about football, and that is the UFC.
Yep.
First card of the year.
Yeah, we
first
mentioned
card of the
it.
year, and it was the first card that was not pay-per-view.
And to be honest with you, I think that
it was a very great card.
I think that the way that the card was laid out was very good. I think Mike can kind of agree with me on this one because I know that he's a big UFC guy. The card sucked other than the main event.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Song Yadong-Sean O'Malley fight was semi-entertaining. I think Song Yadong is perpetually underwhelming. But yeah, I think some of the late dropouts, someone fainted literally the day before the fight at the weigh-ins. That wasn't a good look for Paramount. I think some of the preconceived notions with the UFC not being on pay-per-view way back in the day was, oh, it's too violent, it's a gross sport. That was kind of the notion in the early 2000s. So for that to happen on the first Paramount card isn't the best look for the UFC, I would say.
No doubt. Now, obviously, we talked about the other fight that got pulled out was Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. That was another bummer.
She had a herniated disc
herniated disc in her neck.
But what Mike said about it not being a good look for Paramount, I mean, he's not wrong, but at the same time, right, the UFC wasn't making a lot of money off of pay-per-view because everybody was using websites like StreamEast or.
Don't blow it away. Don't give it away. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, you don't do that anymore. But they weren't making any money off of pay-per-view.
No, a lot of people started to realize when it was like $99 for the pay-per-view. The one pay-per-view I bought, I remember in college, was McGregor versus Jose Aldo. That fight lasted 12 seconds.
12 seconds, yeah.
And I spent all that money to watch that fight for it to last 12 seconds. And from that moment on, I said, I will never pay for another pay-per-view again. Because if it lasts 12 seconds for the main event, I'm going to be pissed. But
yeah, that's when, there's a good card. That's when you go out to a bar that has it on.
Oh, yeah.
And you just sit there.
Go to Buffalo Wild Wings. They got it. But yeah, no, to be honest with you, you know what would be worth the $99 and plus tax, whatever? Would be the main event fight that we saw on
Incredible
that card.
fight of the year.
What
already.
a fight. Now, although, again, you'll agree with me on this, I believe, Justin Gaethje was giving Paddy Pimblett absolute work, but I will tell you this. Paddy Pimblett is a tough SOB.
Scousers indeed do not get
knocked out. Yeah.
And my thing was going into the fight, I thought Paddy Pimblett was going to win, and God forbid, every single time I picked a mixed martial artist to go in there and mix up the martial arts, they just go in there with their ego and just stand and bang the entire fight. Paddy Pimblett talked about it extensively through the fight. He had these visions, he had these dreams that he was going to knock Justin Gaethje out, and I think once the fight started, he just couldn't get that out of his mind. And I thought that was the type of fight to have your entire camp, all of your coaches, all of your teammates turn against you, because the entire fight, you heard Paddy Pimblett's corner, not only in between rounds, during the fight, begging Paddy Pimblett, Paddy, you gotta shoot a takedown. You gotta shoot a takedown right now. Paddy Pimblett came into the UFC as this high-end jiu-jitsu practitioner, a guy who is literally on the feet, hitting flying triangles, flying arm bars from clinch. The thing is about this fight that kills me for Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje was clearly out of his prime in this fight. You look at him from a physical composition standpoint, I thought he looked flabby in there, honestly. You looked at him from a technique perspective, I thought he looked significantly better in his last 5 to 10 fights. Look at how he looked against Fiziev and compare and contrast that against how he looked against Paddy Pimblett. He was overextending so hard on some of his shots. In the corner, Trevor Whitman was like, Justin, take like 20-30% off your shots and you're going to dominate this fight, dude. He was literally stumbling over his overhand rights because of how hard he was throwing. So there were so many windows for Paddy to take him down, and he just didn't.
Here's what I'm going to say about this, right? Before the fight, Paddy said that what did he say?
Scousers don't get knocked out.
Scousers don't get knocked out.
Well, that's his big slogan.
Well, yeah, no, that's
his.
He said that years ago, right? But then again, Justin Gaethje is also known as somebody who knows that throwing a pack a hard punch, right? Not an easy blow. So, like you said, that Pimblett was looking for a takedown or a knockout of Gaethje. I think Gaethje was just trying to put Pimblett on his ass. I think Gaethje was also trying to knock out Paddy Pimblett, but
he was.
Of course. But that's always been Gaethje's style, even from the fight against Holloway.
Knockout punch.
Gaethje has been known to have these flashy knockouts, whether it be head kicks like he did against Dustin Poirier back in the day, or either the fight that he had with Holloway. Now, granted, he lost the fight and ended up sleeping on the mat.
The last second of the fight.
The last second, but they were throwing haymaker bombs at each other. Now, I thought that Paddy's chin was tough. I did not realize that he's got a chin like that.
Unreal.
That was insane.
You saw Gaethje dribble his head on the mat like a basketball.
Well, no, but there were multiple times in that fight where it looked like Gaethje had put him out. And he was hitting him with, I would say, some ground and pound, just trying to finish off the fight. And Paddy would not stop and would not give up.
And what I don't like about that from Paddy Pimblett's perspective, it really reminded me of the Justin Gaethje-Tony Ferguson fight, where Tony Ferguson didn't even get knocked down in that fight. He took so much damage in that fight. I'm looking at it in hindsight and going, I wish he got knocked out in the second round, because he wouldn't have took 2-3 more rounds of damage. With Paddy Pimblett, if he got knocked out in the second or third round, I think for the long-term health of his career, that actually would have been a good thing for him.
Well, I think it would have been too, but at the same time, again, as a viewer, I know obviously we don't necessarily think about the health effect, because we know the sport that it is, and a lot of these guys don't care. As a viewer, that fight is easily going to be one of the fights of 2026, and it's only January.
Yep.
Like Zach's saying, as a viewer, we don't really view the potential of the
injuries.
Injuries. Yeah. That's
the thing is, because we know what they signed up. This is what they signed up for.
This is what they signed up for. This is what they paid for. Like you said, if he had gotten knocked out in the second round, it would have been better for his career. But honestly, you don't know that. Let's say he got knocked out in the second round, right? Slammed his head on the ground. Could have got a really bad concussion. Could have did severe brain damage because maybe Gaethje hit him in the head, and maybe him taking those body shots maybe might have cracked a rib or did something. But like it's not like he took a blow to the head or a kick to the head or something, and it jeopardized his. Oh, is he gonna ever fight again? Kind of like what's his name? Tom Aspinall. Like Tom Aspinall might never.
The eye poke,
Well, Tom Aspinall.
And we could talk about that in this fight. I mean, there was several eye pokes in this fight. I think the biggest moment of the fight was when Justin Gaethje, up against the fence, eye poked Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett ended up going down, and I thought the biggest shots of the entire fight was the Justin Gaethje ground and pound that he inflicted on Paddy Pimblett. It was just Paddy Pimblett had good success on the outside with Justin Gaethje, and I think Paddy Pimblett came into this fight thinking, hey, I outstruck Michael Chandler. I can maybe outstrike Justin Gaethje, but that's insane to think, because Justin Gaethje showed levels against Michael Chandler when those two fought.
Oh, yeah, no question about that at all. I think that it was a very big mismatch in the sake of that. Like you mentioned before, Paddy Pimblett is definitely not known for his striking. He could throw some pretty heavy punches and kicks and be very flashy, but his big thing is it's his versatility, that he's also able to use multiple different grappling techniques in order to get somebody to submit as well. We saw it in his earlier fighting days before he was even in the UFC.
Yep.
Even when he joined the UFC, he has had his moments where he's done that as well too. So again, kind of like I said, this fight as a whole, as a viewer, was one hell of a fight to watch. You have to be a little bit concerned about Paddy's health down the line as well. Now it kind of sets up the Ilia Topuria fight with Justin Gaethje. I think that that's a very big mismatch. I think that Topuria ends up, winning that very easily.
I think within 2 rounds.
I
agree, but it depends on when Topuria comes back.
Oh, he'll be back.
No, I'm not saying that he's not.
Oh no, I know, but he's going to be back sooner than a lot of people think, because he was even commenting on the fight on social media, saying that when Justin won, he was like, "Okay, I know what I have to do now." So he's
I know.
For it.
I'm not saying he's not preparing for it, but the only reason why Topuria stepped away was because of the legal issues he was going through, because he's going through a divorce, and I guess he didn't want to have all that being brought up in spotlight or during the fight, because there are some broadcasting companies that tend to do that with people's personal lives. I'm not putting it out there. I'm not naming ESPN. I'm not naming anybody. But no, I'm joking, ESPN. But I am.
I know.
But when you're talking about people's personal lives during like a game, like showing graphics about it, like.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I respect Topuria for stepping away so we can settle all this in court without having any.
Yeah, he doesn't need any extra distractions. It's just not worth it. Anyway, we'll go into the NFL. We'll try to just make this fairly brief, because we're going to save all of our predictions for the Super Bowl, I believe, next week. That's more of the plan. We could have a much more NFL-orientated next week. But we'll go through a couple of the coaching moves, a little bit of Pro Bowl and Hall of Fame talk, and then we'll just discuss what we saw in the NFC and AFC Championship. But we'll start out with the coaching. There were 4 big coaching moves that happened over the last couple of days. One of them happened right after we got off the air, on Friday. What a shocker. Mike McCarthy was hired as the next head coach of the Pittsburgh
No, he didn't
Steelers.
he didn't get hired till Saturday.
Well, he didn't get hired till Saturday, but there was a verbal agreement basically right after we got off the air.
So all I'm gonna say, Steelers fans, is good luck. Like, I mean, he was great in Green Bay. I mean, for Dallas, he didn't really do well. He turned Dak Prescott into ass Prescott. Like,
well, I think it's big. There's a big piece of why they brought in McCarthy. I think everyone knows where I'm going.
They can keep Aaron Rodgers.
Correct. They did it
Aaron
to try
Rodgers
and convince
came
him
out.
to stay one more.
I think he's retiring after. I don't even think Rodgers is playing next year at all.
I think he is.
I think he's done.
No, I don't. I disagree. I think that he's given it one more shot because I think that he knows that the Steelers never really gave him all of the options that he had to succeed. They did not really have a great running room or a running back room for him last year. They only had one really solid receiver, in my opinion, with DK Metcalf. I feel like the rest of them kind of fell off. Not that they're bad receivers, but just not game changers, which could really help.
DK fell off, bro.
Well, DK did a little bit too, but I think that they had a lot of issues in regards to their run game, which also messed up a little bit of their passing offense. We know how that works. If you can't get the run game going, it's very hard to get the pass game going as well too. I feel like that was a big factor. And once again, you bring Mike McCarthy in to try and be that convincing factor to get Rodgers to stay. I think Rodgers gives it one more year. I think that it's a decent signing by them. You know, granted, he may not have had a great run in Dallas. He did end up having 8 consecutive playoff years in Green Bay. He did win them a Super Bowl as well, too.
Against the Steelers as
Against
well.
the Steelers. I just feel like, you know, if you look at his record, too, he's 185, 123, and 2, 11 and 11 in the postseason.
Yeah.
Has the second most wins in Packers history. I mean, he's not a bad coach.
I'm not taking away from the fact that he's a bad coach. He was a good coach, but in the more recent years, right, when you think of Mike McCarthy, you think of what he did in Dallas and the team that he had. He had CeeDee Lamb. He had a somewhat prime Amari Cooper. He had somewhat prime Ezekiel Elliott. He had the talent.
He did.
You can't say Mike McCarthy didn't have the talent.
Well,
he had Micah Parsons. They had a solid defense.
There's one person I can blame.
Jerry Jones.
Thank you.
Especially with the Packers. I think you can argue he underachieved with the Packers. For me, it's a pivot, yet it's more of the same with the Steelers. It's a pivot in the sense of every coach they've ever hired, and they've only hired 3 or 4 coaches in the history of the organization, has been a young head coaching prospect that they've groomed throughout the years that they can say, hey, this guy's going to be our coach for the next 20, 25 years. Every single hire, not even just Mike Tomlin, with Cowher too, every hire they've had has been like that. This is obviously not the case with Mike McCarthy. He's an older prospect.
And Chuck Noll.
And Chuck Noll.
I think that if they get McCarthy, they got McCarthy. If they bring Rodgers back, and Rodgers like, oh yeah, I'll play another season, and they win a Super Bowl, Rodgers is definitely going to retire after that. I think they just move up from McCarthy right there.
Yeah, so
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I don't know how long his contract is either, too.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, in that sense, it's a pivot. Yeah, at the same time, it's more of the same with the Steelers because for me, Mike McCarthy in this signing, them wanting to get Aaron Rodgers back, it represents them perpetually wanting to stay 500, them perpetually refusing to rebuild, getting a young coaching prospect in there, getting rid of, honestly, TJ Watt, flipping him for a first-round pick or 2, and just rebuilding their organization. This just screams Steelers are terrified. Out of any team in all of sports, they're terrified of being bad.
Yeah, it was a desperation move, in my opinion. But like I said, I think it was more of the desperation move for the sake of we need Rodgers because I don't think that they really trust the quarterback draft class that's coming out. I also don't think that they trust Will Howard. So I think that they really want to rock with Rodgers for one more.
There's a big reason why they don't trust Will Howard.
Because you can't trust any Ohio State quarterback.
Bingo.
So, but that's my point is I feel like they don't trust this year's draft class. They do not trust the quarterback that they have sitting behind Rodgers right now. I genuinely think that they're trying to convince Rodgers to go one more to give them a little bit more freedom so that maybe next year they go out and try and draft another quarterback that comes out. Because I think the quarterback class will be a little bit better going into next year. So we'll see. Then you also had Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator from the Buffalo Bills, got promoted to their head coaching position. I was a little surprised by this.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were more surprised by the whole Sean McDermott firing. I could see why they moved to Sean Brady, though. Obviously, their offense had been one of their strong suits throughout the years under Josh Allen. I think that it builds a little bit more consistency within the organization. I like the fact that he's a young guy. A lot of these teams are starting to try and transition to the younger head coach, bring in a new generation, try something different. I think it could be a very beneficial move. I was kind of skeptical a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it was a phenomenal move, but I was a little skeptical too because he does not have really much head coaching expertise at all.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he cannot be a good head coach in the NFL. So I'm curious to see how that one pans out. I don't know, but I think that this could be just another thing, like I said, a transition year for them.
Yeah.
If this does not work, they may end up trying to move off of him and go somewhere else with it.
Yeah, Joe Brady's been a hot name for years, of course. He's kind of the architect behind the 2019 best college football offense of all time in LSU. He was the offensive mastermind of that team. I think he got a lot of coaching buzz for that. He goes to Carolina after, and it kind of fizzles out. He goes to the Bills and kind of revitalizes his career. It's funny, we alluded to it last episode where I thought in 2018 they should have went from McDermott to Dable, and this is kind of them in hindsight going, I think we should have done that. Let's do it now. Let's get our offensive coordinator. He's the reason why our team's good. It's not our defense, it's our offense. Let's get our offensive coordinator promoted before he becomes a head coach with a different organization. The issue is now with this team, you have the entire front office before the hiring. Throw the coaching staff under the bus of all of these personnel moves they made, saying it was the coaches that wanted to make these personnel moves, not our front office. The issue is, so Keon Coleman, for example, Sean McDermott's a defensive head coach. He's going to be tapping into his offensive coaches for advice on guys to get in the draft and free agency on the offensive end. So right before they hired Joe Brady, the owner and GM basically come out and say, Joe Brady is the reason why we have all of these bad draft picks at the offensive position. That's basically what he said. Then you hire him, and Joe Brady comes out right away and says, I like Keon Coleman. I disagree with the front office, and I'm glad that we kept Keon Coleman. So there's just this disconnect with the coaching staff, in my opinion, with the front office.
Are we talking about the same Sean McDermott? Because the Sean McDermott that I know doesn't know how to send a defense out there.
He doesn't. No, I agree.
He's not a defensive head. He's just a head coach.
Well, he is. But the point is,
he is. But the point is that he's
not a good defensive head coach. He is a defensive head coach.
He pulls the defense out of his ass and says, "Go on the field."
Yeah, well, that's the reason why he no longer has a job.
Yeah, which is why I thought they should have promoted Daboll.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Now, speaking of Daboll, he ended up getting a job. Thank God it was not with Philadelphia for your sake. Otherwise, you would have had a heart attack. Probably would not have been on the show this week. Brian Daboll signed to be the Tennessee Titans' next offensive coordinator.
A little bit surprised.
Good luck with that one.
Now, no. Here's the reason why I kind of like the idea.
Cam Ward.
Obviously, don't spoil it. Robert Saleh takes over the reins as the head coach now. I feel like
I find that hilarious. Two failed New York head coaches team up for one team, and it's going to be a big dumpster fire. I'm telling you that right now.
Hey, you know what? But this is what I'm my point behind it though is Saleh is very defensive minded. He's a phenomenal defensive coordinator. So I feel like he brings that defensive edge, whereas Daboll now has a project where he gets to work with a developable quarterback in Cam Ward. I feel like he can kind of help them mold the offense because they do have a lot of issues. Obviously, the receiver room is really not that great. Running back room is if Tony Pollard is still there, I guess you can rock with that. I mean, they have Tajay Spears as well.
Yeah.
So they will have other names to work with, but I feel like this gives Daboll an opportunity and a fresh start with a young quarterback that can really prove himself, has shown that he's got skills and just needs the weapons. And I don't think that Daboll was ever the problem in regards to the offensive coordinator situation. When as a head coach, sure. But don't forget, he was an offensive coordinator at Alabama in 2017 where they saw a lot of success. He's been other places before where he's had good rep.
Yes, exactly. But
he's
the only thing I have to say about this is that the last two seasons, Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator for the Giants, was not calling the plays. It was Brian Daboll. And you look at the offense from the last two seasons, not really that great. So that's the only thing.
Not really that many weapons either.
Yeah, the roster's been.
I know
it's better this year, but
I know the roster's been better like this year, but What I'm saying is that when Dable's calling the offense, right? That's the only thing. Like, I get it's the Giants, right? But going from the Giants to the Titans, that might be like a step down, and that's kind of
Well, listen, yes and no. The only reason why I say this is because if you look at the Giants from the past couple of seasons, they have not had the weapons. When they were finally given the weapons, their offense was not the problem last year.
No,
it was
it
the
was the
fact that their
defense.
defense was blowing leads.
Yeah. And
So-
Salah's defense was always phenomenal with the Jets, honestly.
My point, exactly. So I think that if you give them a clean slate, which they kind of have right now, they have a decent amount of cap space. They could potentially
do.
go out and build themselves a roster that is capable of winning, in my opinion, a weaker division.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jacksonville they are getting stronger now with Indianapolis being much better, Houston being an absolute force. Jacksonville looks a lot better, but I feel like that division is still fairly up for grabs. I think that
Yep.
Tennessee, if they make a couple of the right moves, to be honest with you, I think that they have the best quarterback in that division.
Yeah, I think it's still probably the second worst division in the entire NFL outside of the NFC South. But yeah, I mean, if you're a Titans fan and if you're Cam Ward, you're getting really excited about this coaching staff. Again, you have $100 million in cap space to spend. You have a top pick. You're probably going to spend it on a wide receiver. I think you're looking at year 2 with Cam Ward, and what you want to do with your young quarterback is set them up in a situation where you go, you're the reason we're not doing good if they're not doing good. Leave no doubts. Oh, maybe it's the weapons aren't too good. Maybe it's the coaching staff. With the Titans, you put Cam Ward in a situation of, hey, if they're not good offensively next year, it's definitively Cam Ward. It's not the coaching staff, and it's not the weapons.
quickly, I'm just gonna bring up before we go talk about
The last
Todd
head coach,
Monken.
yeah.
Yep.
First of all I'm gonna say is, wouldn't be surprised if Ward starts playing like Dart, because
I think Ward's got a lot of skill. There's a reason why he's the number 1 overall pick,
Exactly.
so.
Yep.
I'm not saying that Brian Dable's the reason why Dart was successful, because he was in a way, yes, because Dable gave him a shot. But Cam Ward, I guess he didn't really have somebody who got faith in him, and I'm pretty sure Brian Dable would give that to him. I love Dable as a guy, but as a head coach, not good.
Yeah.
But speaking of one coach going from the Giants to the Titans, we're talking about one coach going from the Titans to the Giants. The Giants signed Denard Wilson to be the defensive coordinator for John Harbaugh this season. And you know what? I'm not saying it's a bad signing, because the Titans literally had nobody. The Titans were putting practice squad players out there on defense week in and week out because they had nobody on defense aside from Jeffrey Simmons. But you give, I don't know how long he's been coaching for, but if you give Denard Wilson a defense like the Giants that has the potential to be good, you can make an argument that maybe this isn't a bad signing. But when you look at what they did with Shane Bowen, who was the defensive coordinator for the Titans before he went to the Giants, you looked at the defense and it was dumpster fire. I'm saying this could be a good signing for the Giants if it works out, right? But I'm saying don't be surprised if it doesn't go as planned.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's with any hiring. You're going to have a situation where it's either going to go well or it's not going to go well.
But especially with Harbaugh, I think this Giants coaching offseason really reminds me of what the Chargers did with Jim Harbaugh, in the sense of, I like Jim Harbaugh, I like John Harbaugh, but let's be completely honest about this. They're the CEO, overseer of the project type of head coaches. So realistically, you're going to be married and your success is going to be predicated on how good is your offensive and defensive coordinator. And look at what just happened with the Chargers. They just fired their offensive coordinator. Now, they did get, probably in my opinion, what is the best offensive coordinator now in the entire NFL with Mike McDaniels, but my big reservation with the Jim Harbaugh hire with the Chargers was, I don't like the coordinators, to be completely honest, so I don't really think it's going to work. And that is what played out. And the thing with John Harbaugh is, I'm not too sure about these coordinators that they've brought in New York.
Well, here's the only thing I'm going to say. I'm pretty sure the only reason why Denard Wilson got hired by the Giants was because he was the defensive backs coordinator or coach for John Harbaugh when he was on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Until last season.
Yeah.
Other than that, he coached defensive backs for the Eagles and the Jets too. But
We'll see. We'll see.
He was probably. I was saying he was probably with the Jets around Sauce's rookie year, and then when the Eagles had Darius Slay those 2-3 years where he was fine, it's probably with them. But I mean, if you look at the Giants' defensive line, you could look at that and say it's not. You see that is not the problem, right?
Yeah, no.
You could have Harbaugh, who's a defensive-minded coach, right? Or is he? Would you say he's more offense or defense?
Defense, I mean, his expertise was special teams. He was actually a special teams coach before he became head coach. But I would say he leans defense.
He leans defense, right? You
Yeah.
could have Harbaugh work on the defensive line, and you obviously saw the struggles with the Giants' defense last year was 100% inconsistency with the defensive backs. If you can get a defensive coordinator that can come in and like say this is what we have to do, otherwise this isn't going to work, and it works perfectly fine, then great. The Giants' defense is going to be a defense to watch out for.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, last coach we'll talk about because we're going a little bit late here. So, is Todd Monken ended up signing or rejoining the Cleveland Browns as their head coach. He was their OC in 2019. The former Ravens offensive coordinator. Now he rejoins the organization with hopes to bring the Browns hopefully some success. We'll see. Obviously, we've seen his career and the way that that's panned out. He's been all over the place within college and the NFL with teams like Louisiana Tech, Oklahoma State, LSU, Southern Miss, Georgia, as well as the NFL with Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. He hasn't really been great as a head coach thus far. He's 13-26 in his career, but he is a 2-time CFP National Championship coach as a coordinator. So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Which is why I don't think Monken is going to be a great head coach for the Browns.
Trust me, I don't think that the Browns are the right setting for pretty much anybody. And they haven't been for a long
slim
time.
pickings
Now,
for their head coaching
it's very
hires.
Now, you could only be, you could think I'm only saying that because now the Giants have to go and scramble and find an offensive coordinator because Todd Monken accepted the position as the head coach, which is why I think they should have just signed McDaniels in the beginning. Like, I really don't care.
Yeah, I don't know how this – like I said, anything that has to do with the Browns is like cursed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to step anywhere within that organization at any point. It's just a disaster waiting
Now,
to happen.
moving on from the coaches.
Speaking of coaches, actually, a little bit, we're gonna go into the Pro Bowl.
Well, I was gonna, but hold on, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. We're just gonna go in. I'm just gonna talk for a second.
We got
the Pro Bowl will be held on Tuesday, February 3rd. The Pro Bowl is a shell of its former self because now instead of it being a full game, it's 7-on-7 flag football,
and a skills competition, which is just
they've cut their losses.
The skills competition is always fun to watch, but the Pro Bowl wasn't about safety. It was about having fun. Like, I remember, I believe it was Saquon's rookie season. They had him in on defense, and I don't know if he got an interception, but they pitched the ball back to him. And it was about playing players out of their position and letting them have fun with it's like, it's the last game of the season for them. They're not going to be playing in the Super Bowl. Just let them go out there and have fun. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, the AFC had Stephon Diggs on defense, and then NFC had Trayvon Diggs on offense.
Yeah.
Like, that's the stuff you go to tune into the Pro Bowl to watch. You watch the fun stuff like that you don't get to see in a regular NFL game.
Yeah, but
and now you're just watching flag football. You can go down to the park Sunday morning maybe and see a spring flag football team getting ready to play a game.
The reason why we're bringing it up, though, is not only is it a shell of itself because of the events that take place, but because
you got Shaduki Sanders as quarterback number 3 for the AFC.
No, and the reason why, Shedeur Sanders is now the third representing quarterback in the AFC. But the part that makes me the most mad about it, obviously we know why they did it, is because they're trying to gain any views and engagement that they can, and they know the minute they did that, people are going to talk about it and people are going to watch. Yep. So I get it, 100%. But the thing is, originally the quarterbacks were Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Drake May. Obviously, Drake May made the Super Bowl, so he is not being represented in it. Just like with the NFC, Sam Darnold is being replaced by Jared Goff, joining Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott. Understood.
Oh, they put Jared Goff in there. They couldn't have put another rookie quarterback in there. They couldn't have put Jackson Dart in there. They probably, exactly. But see?
No,
exactly.
Wait, hold on. But my point is, it's not even the fact that they just put Shedeur Sanders. What the hell happened to Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Who had his best career year.
He had one of the best seasons in his career, and they easily could have said, you know what? You got knocked out. You made the playoffs. You played fairly well in the game.
Yeah,
We're going to
he
give
did.
you an opportunity and put you in the Pro Bowl, and they go with Shador Sanders.
If it was a popularity contest, where's Lamar Jackson? Where's Joe
Yeah,
Burrow?
that's the
Joe
thing.
Burrow.
In the NFC, right? Popularity contest. You could have put
Jalen
Hurts,
Not that he deserved
Dak.
it.
Why isn't Dak Prescott in there?
He is.
Oh,
He is. It's
Oh, wait.
Matthew Stafford,
I
Dak
didn't- I didn't-
Prescott,
I
and
didn't- I
Sam
didn't hear that
Darnold
part.
were the 3 reps.
Well, you could have put Jalen Hurts. He didn't deserve it. You could have put Baker Mayfield,
Yep.
who had a great start to the season.
Yeah.
Kirk O'Shanes.
Kirk O'Chains.
Even Bryce Young, who had a really good back end of the season.
Bryce Young. You could have put
Tyler Shuck.
Tyler Shuck, Jackson. You could have put any of those. Jordan
Yikes.
Love.
Jordan.
Oh,
The Toyotathon's over. So.
They replaced Drake May with Shador Sanders. They should have put J.J. McCarthy in for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, that's
At that point.
Yeah, because that's what the Pro Bowl is let's put guys let's put a guy that went 3-4 in 7 games as a starter and threw 10 interceptions and only 7 touchdowns. Yeah, that completely makes sense. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Now, speaking of other stupid things that I can't believe is they announced the Hall of Fame finalists a while ago, but now they're starting to talk about who are most likely to get in. Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer as an 8-time Super Bowl champ, 6 times as a head coach, 2 as a coordinator, and he did not get in.
Yeah.
On first ballot.
I want to rant about this for 1 second, guys. Bill Belichick has been in the NFL for 5 decades. Nobody likes NFL history and is more knowledgeable about NFL history than Bill Belichick. He has an entire library in his house dedicated to the history of the NFL. He's donated hundreds and hundreds of books over the years to several universities about NFL history. He's given lectures. The NFL knows, out of any human being who's ever existed, this means more to Bill Belichick than any other coach. What he did with the Giants, he's basically the godfather of the modern day defense. The Bill Walsh West Coast offense ran wild in the 80s. No one could stop it. Who is the first coach to crack the code of the West Coast offense? It's Bill Belichick. Who is somebody who got dominated in the Super Bowl by Bill Belichick, who had a phenomenal offense? It's Bill Polian's Buffalo Bills. Bill Polian came out and said, hey guys, I'll be honest, I was one of the people who did not vote for Bill Belichick to go to the Hall of Fame. That right there shows why the Hall of Fame and just MVPs and voting, all pros, it's such a flawed method of voting because you have people who cannot put their bias aside and vote for the right candidate. And this just is the ultimate culmination of biased people holding a vendetta against Bill Belichick, in my opinion.
So people are holding vendettas against Bill Belichick, right? So in another 2, 3, maybe 4 years, what are they going to do? Say Tom Brady isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Well, no. Tom Brady, I think, is eligible as of next year.
I think
No.
Tom Brady is
he
a big reason why Bill Belichick didn't get elected.
I don't think he's
honestly.
eligible next.
He retired in 2022. It's 5 years. Next year is 2027, brother.
No, but didn't he come out of retirement after 22?
No.
I'm pretty sure he did.
No. He came out of retirement after 21 and came back for one last season. I'm almost positive he retired in 2022.
I think you're wrong about
And
That
that.
was the year after the Rams won the Super Bowl, and the following year somebody else won.
But
That
the
was year the Eagles
whole
won.
Tom Brady perception,
Or Chiefs, sorry.
and I think the fact that people just so attribute all of
February 1st, 2023.
the whole success
got
predicated on Bill Belichick's career is quote unquote because of Tom Brady. Guys, when do coaches start to get credit for coaching the best player in defensive history in Lawrence Taylor, the best offensive player in Tom Brady? And the thing that kills me about
And Gronk.
The thing that kills me about the Tom Brady Bill Belichick kind of dynamic, people act as though Tom Brady was Peyton Manning, John Elway, this first overall can't miss prospect, which any coach in NFL history would have took to become the greatest player of all time. Guys, Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. His rookie year, Bill Belichick kept 4 quarterbacks on the roster just to keep Tom Brady. He was a 4th string quarterback. The Patriots that season were the only team in the NFL to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Bill Belichick has so much to do with Tom Brady's success. He had such a successful career before Tom Brady. Everyone's saying, oh, look at what Tom Brady did after Bill Belichick. Look at what Bill Belichick did before Tom Brady. And people act, I think I think another factor in this is Bruce Arians.
Let him cook.
Bruce Arians, guys, is the only coach in NFL history to win 2 Coaches of the Year with 2 different organizations. I'm a Cardinals fan, guys. You know how hard it is to get the Cardinals to be relevant. People act like Tom Brady took some shitty head coach, sorry for the swear.
That's okay.
And
I get it.
won a Super Bowl with him. Bruce Arians is a phenomenal Hall of Fame caliber head coach. Tom Brady has always won with high-end success and high-end coaching. So for the entire career of Bill Belichick to be chalked up for Tom Brady, I think is just ridiculous. That's my rant.
I love it. I love it. The intensity and passion.
Tom Brady helped Bruce Arians win the Burger Bowl between Andy Reid and Bruce Arians.
Wow. But yeah, no. So I 100% agree.
Speaking of Tom Brady, which these two don't agree with me, but I also think Eli Manning got snubbed.
Well, I said this to many other people. Eli will have his time. He's not ready yet.
No, I think
his record kind of hurt him a little bit. So I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not. He
fence.
will make it. He will make it, and he deserves to. But it's just not yet. Not yet. It's only been what? This is the second year. He'll get there. Now the way we'll wrap it up, which I know we just brought a lot of intensity there, especially Mike. I know that just fired you up. The way we'll kind of close it out here is we're just going to go very quickly through the NFC and AFC Championship
with the
results.
AFC Championship, you saw Drake May face off against Jarrett Stidham, but his name should be Jarrett Stidham because he's just ass.
Jarrett Stidham. It should be Jared Cudham.
Get
the hell out of here.
Jarrett Stidham, just sit him on the bench. Like, don't let him play.
Yeah, sit him in the press box.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
like they could have put Drew Lock out there in the second half. I think they would have done better.
Well, I will say this, at least from that game, the Broncos' defense is very, very good. We knew this going into that game. Mike even said on the episode before that he figured it would be a very low-scoring game.
No, I said that.
Well, you did too. We all kind of said that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, again, Drake May only posted 86 passing yards.
Yep.
And they still found a way to win the game.
The one thing I will say, right, is that granted that the Patriots were wearing their away jerseys, and it did start to snow in the fourth quarter, which could lead me to believe that Jarrett Stidham, not only Jarrett Stidham, I'm pretty sure Bo Nix would have had a hard time seeing the jerseys as well.
Yeah.
But you know what?
But what I'm saying is,
I would trust in Bo Nix over Jared.
So would I. It's just Will Lutz just wasn't reliable at all.
No, he was not reliable at all in that game, but I think it's fair to say, and I don't want to piss any Patriot fans off here, it's not a shot because you guys won the game, you deserve to make it, but if Bo Nix is in that game, you may not be seeing New England in the Super Bowl. You may not.
Yeah, I agree. I think the lack of running from the quarterback position for the Broncos is clearly what cost them this game. And for the Patriots, it's what won them this game. I mean, Drake May was way better running the ball than passing the ball. And Bo Nix, I think, would have extended the play, got them a couple more first downs with his legs, which with the weather, I think that was vital in this game. And again, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and there wasn't really much to be like impressed by. Well, not saying impressed by, but there really wasn't much to talk about from this game.
Yeah.
Very boring. Jarrett Stidham starts the game off with a touchdown and then completely disappeared afterwards.
Yep.
It was very, very bad of a game.
What I'm going to say right here is going to make this guy happy. You look at that game and you watch two great defenses go out on the field, right? And you look, and it's just a low-scoring game. But then you look at the Rams and Seahawks, who also arguably have two great defenses, and it's a high. Well, hold on. Let me talk.
I'll let you finish, and then I'll
it's a high-scoring game because the Seahawks defense is good, and the Rams defense has shown flashes. And there are grown men, not even little children. There are grown men that believe that Drake May wins the MVP over Matt Stafford.
Nope.
I do not agree with that. I think if Drake May wins the MVP, every single voter in the NFL should clean house. They should clean house. They should clean house and hire everybody else. Because it's not like you look at Drake. I get Drake May is young, but Matt Stafford is 37 doing this, putting up numbers, having the best year of his career at 37 years old, and people are like, meh, give it to the younger guy.
Here's where I'll transition over because obviously the Rams lost to the Seattle Seahawks 31-27. This is what I'll say about it, especially as a Rams fan, because I can give you full input here. I agree with what you said in the Seahawks defense is very good. They're a legit team. They deserve to win the game. They played better than the Rams did in that game pretty easily. The one thing that you said that I disagreed with is the Rams defense was good. This is what I'll say. Very, very underwhelming performance. Their secondary is hot, wet, stinky, disgusting garbage. Absolute trash. I don't understand. Well, this is the big reason why they lost, and I think it's fairly evident. A lot of analysts said the same thing too, is you have 2 Pro Bowl defensive linemen in Byron Young and Jared Verse. Does anybody know how many sacks they had in the playoffs combined?
None.
0.
Well, can
Zero.
I tell you something? I don't want you to get mad at me, but
No, you.
I'm pretty sure the reason why they lost is because their kick return doesn't know how to catch a football.
Well, I'm getting there. But the big thing is, this is something that I've talked with tons of other people about, because as a Rams fan, everyone was asking me, especially when they see me, oh, I'm sorry about your Rams, sorry about your Rams. Here's what I'll say. Now, where the D-line was not good, the secondary obviously has so many flaws. When you're running zone coverage 90% of the game, especially in the playoffs against offenses that can move the ball, they are going to find empty spots of those zone sets, and they are going to dice you to bits. But the reason why they had to run zone so much is because they do not have any lockdown man-to-man corners.
Yeah.
That is something that they struggled with the whole year, especially after losing Akello Witherspoon. You cannot expect Emmanuel Forbes, Darius Williams, and Kobe Durant to be locked down man-to-man corners. They never were in their career, and they got torched. But their kick return was the crucial turning point of the game. The minute they fumbled that I knew that they were in trouble.
That was the worst fumble I've ever seen of a punt ever.
Well, the reason why I got more pissed about it is because anybody knows this that's played any sort of football or watches. If you are having trouble tracking the punt, get the hell out of the way and let it bounce.
100%.
Worst case scenario is it's downed at the 1-yard line and it's your possession. But other than that, it maybe bounces out of bounds. Maybe it bounces into the end zone and gets a touchback.
Yeah.
But why would you try to field the ball when you are having trouble tracking it? Get the hell out of the way. And Xavier Smith, I hope he walked home from Seattle.
I remember in high school, on the sideline, if that were to happen, coaches would start yelling, poison, 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 and then you would know to get away from the ball.
So
That's what I'm saying. It's basic.
my key takeaway from this game, so I talked about it last podcast, the factor that was going to win or lose the game for the Rams is stopping Kenneth Walker early in the game. If Kenneth Walker got going early in the game, they could run the play action pass off of that. In the Rams defense, they're going to be way too stressed out on the run game. And their pass coverage, to your point, they don't have that lockdown man-to-man covered. They had to buy into the run game, and what did you see? In the first quarter of the game, I thought Kenneth Walker absolutely dominated the first quarter of this game.
Yeah.
He had over 10 touches in the first quarter. He had over 6 yards per carry in the first quarter. And off of that, from a schematic perspective, the Rams defense were just in such a hole, and they just couldn't catch up.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, like I said, is especially when you're not getting pressure from your defensive linemen who are supposed to be your strong suit of your team, that was supposed to be something that they were way better than average with the entire year. And, I mean, they generated pressures, but they have trouble finishing sacks. I mean, Braden Fisk had some. You saw Poona Ford getting active as well in that game, too. And even some other guys like Josiah Stewart was stepping up when they needed to. But when you're two big guys in Byron Young and Jared Verse do not record a single sack during the postseason, and it gives them, even a guy like Darnold, who I thought played very, very well in the game, when you give any quarterback time against zone coverage to sit and focus off of not just his first read, but several others, and you do not have the secondary to really help you on the back end, you're going to get torched. And that's the exact thing that happened. However, Matthew Stafford did play his tail off.
Exactly.
And that offense was cooking.
What I'm going to say right now is that we could potentially be speaking about this in a different light if at the end of the game, Puka Nacua did wind up getting out of bounds.
Well, I mean, you can, but at the end of the day...
But what I'm trying to say is that I'm not saying that they didn't put up a good enough fight because they did, but all I'm saying is that Stafford has the arm to get the football
100%
from where Puka Nacua almost went out of bounds at to the end zone, and it would have gave the Rams at least a shot.
You're
to
right,
go for the end
but
zone.
here's what I'll say to kind of just go off of it a little bit, because this is the one thing that I really didn't say that I should have. Now, granted, the end of the game, Cooper Kupp did not have that first down. That I don't understand what that call was. They gifted him the first down there, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse because the Rams still lost. So, I mean, it is what it is, but the thing that drove me nuts is when the Rams were losing by the score, I believe it was 31-20. Instead of them, after they scored a touchdown and made it 31-27, why did they not go for 2 and try to make it 31-28? Because then if it does get to the same point that we were just at and how we saw the game end, instead of them having to go to the end zone, all you have to do is kick a field goal.
Yeah.
And you got yourself a tie game and you're going to overtime, and your defense had actually started to settle in a little bit nicer and was making more stops in the second half. It was the first half where they were just getting torched, especially towards the end of the first half, where they allow a touchdown drive to where they throw a 50 or 60-yard pass to Smith and Jigba right up the middle of the field. I mean, that could not happen, and they let it happen. But the defense played a little bit better in the second half, but it was just too little too late. So, I mean, there were a lot of issues that came from it. Matthew Stafford definitely deserved the MVP of the regular season after the way he played. He proved it, but obviously we're going to have an absolute battle between Seattle and New England in the Super Bowl.
I also hope that this is not Stafford's last year.
It won't be. He was even saying that the only way that he'd probably retire is if he won the Super Bowl, and the fact that he did not win and he was playing to the level he did this year, he still got it. So I would not be surprised if he is back and better than ever next year. But we will talk about the Super Bowl next week. That concludes our episode. Thank you for tuning into the Straight Outta Stratford.
We also want to thank Mike
30.
for coming on again this week.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It was a great time as always.
Thank you for coming back on, and we will see you guys next week.